Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Booze and Boobs podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Katrina. Thanks for joining us today as we talk about some of our favorite horror movies.
We created this podcast as a way to give women more of a voice in horror. Men dominate most industries, especially film and television.
And that also goes for podcasts. We'll focus on female characters, motivations, or just expectations placed on women in horror, even if the situation is happening to a man.
We're excited you're here and we hope you love it.
Now let's get to today's movie.
Eat those Skittles, girl. Chomp them in the mic. I want to hear them. She muted herself. Well, that was going to be a funny intro, but now it's not anymore because someone's not playing along.
I was not informed. I was trying to be respectful.
Impromptu.
No, I don't like it.
I know. But Marissa, my friend, doesn't like. It's the movie we're doing today. Yay!
Honestly, ridiculous. How are you gonna be a hater?
She's not a hater. She thinks it's a well done movie. She said something after I told her what we were gonna do for this month, and she was like, "It's not that it's not a good movie." Like, I'm paraphrasing, but she's like, "It's just everything that I hate, and I just can't do it."
Mm,
I'm like, okay. But she'll listen to the podcast because she's very supportive. She better if she
well,
wants to guest star again.
listening and watching the movie again are different, so she doesn't have to watch it again.
She has seen the movie. She is not going in with any spoilers. She has done what she needed to do. I did not do a whole lot of what I needed to do in regards to this podcast. I watched it one time. Oh, I've seen the movie a few times, but for this, I watched it one time while I was mostly on my phone because I was having a bad day and I was mad. Um, and then I didn't take any notes. I have some thoughts in my head, but that's it.
That's all you need. I don't know. We take turns on who like does what, I feel like, and that's fine with me. Like, I feel like I haven't done notes for the past like two or three of these, and you did. So it works out.
Yeah, I got really high and did the Insidious notes, which I thought were very, very funny. Maybe on our Patreon, we should just screenshot the notes that we take and just post them, and they'll be like, there you go. The making of.
We'll just give them a link to our spreadsheet for a small fee of $100.
Yeah. I mean, we already have 20 episodes. I mean, that's $5 a sheet.
Yeah.
The value increases when we record more. Anyway, what movie are we doing today?
We're doing Barbarian, of course.
Of course.
Of course
Not like
we
I
are.
couldn't read it in front of me on the screen.
If you listened to our previous episode, you would know that we are doing Barbarian because we chose it at the last minute at the end of the last episode. So if you haven't listened to it, go do that.
That was a
Support
really
us.
good plug for the last episode. I guess my brain goes to, if you clicked on this episode and you read it, you know what movie we're talking about.
I guess that's fair. You're welcome. You're here. We appreciate you.
Thank you. That's
Not
me as
you.
everyone else. No, I'm everyone else.
Oh,
I'm the
okay.
voice of the listener.
Oh,
Duh.
like I'm not thanking you, Rachel.
What's that? Ain't nobody here to see you, Otis. That's one of my favorite things. I love a good meme. Okay, let's talk about this movie. This movie's crazy. And I think this is a really good movie for our podcast specifically based on the themes and what our like point of view is. So I think it's good. Why don't you start? Because I don't wanna.
No pressure. So, we are covering Barbarian 2022, which for some reason doesn't have any hard copies of the movie anywhere. We were trying to find somewhere to stream it, and I was like, oh, maybe the library would have it. No, there's no DVDs. What the hell? What era are we in now? That's what I want to know. Anyway, the director is Zach Krieger. And the notable actors are Georgina Campbell. She is Tess. Bill Skarsgård. Did I say that right?
You did.
Oh,
Good
look at me
job.
go. I'm great. As Keith, our lovable Keith. Justin Long as AJ. And Matthew Patrick Davis is the mother. And Richard Blake is Frank. Gross. He did a great job, but gross.
Yeah, you're too
Um,
good. Get out.
yeah, I don't like it. I'm like, this seems too comfortable for him.
The actor was acting. How dare.
He was. The audacity.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen Barbarian, good for you. But the themes Katrina and I discussed, and it was so nice. We actually got to hang out last weekend, and do stuff. So that was cool.
And we
Not that we
talked about
really,
it. Yeah.
yeah, we talked about some ideas that we wanted to do for the podcast, which we kind of came up with, and this is referencing that thought that I was telling you that I had, because I had a thought. So our like theming for this episode, we were talking about the different types of men. So, and spoilers abound, they start here. Let's go. There are men who are bad and they know it. There are good men who are just as good as they can be. And there are men who are bad, but they've deluded themselves and twisted their thinking to where they're not really a part of the problem. And we've personified these with Frank, who is very bad. And he is really, really good at being bad. Not in like a morally gray kind of way. Like, this is just like a bad guy. And then we
There's
have
no good.
no, no. Frank bad. Then there's Keith, who is a pretty, all around just good guy. He's trying to do the right thing. He's being good. Then you have AJ, who has done some pretty heinous things, and his behaviors are pretty disgusting. But he's like, no. Like, this is justified. Like, this is just what I'm doing. Like, it's fine. Like, I didn't rape that girl. She just didn't want to have sex, and then I just had to convince her about it, which is exactly what we have found out about AJ. So you have that. But then I also raise you a fourth type of man who I would say is like the homeless guy in the movie, who is a good guy and just trying to do the good thing. Like, he's good all the way through.
Yeah. But because of his situation, he doesn't seem that way on the outside. Kind of like these other ones have like their outside exterior to be like, we're all good. You just don't know we're bad. And it's
Mm-mm.
kind of like the flip where the homeless guy is good, but people judge him because of his situation that they assume he's bad.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
like it.
he's not a perfect character because he is a man running up on a woman saying, "Hey, little girl,"
Yeah.
which is very scary. But see, and this is where I hate the miscommunication trope. He's like, "Get out of that house," but he's not like, "There's a murderer in there."
Yeah, you can say get out, you shouldn't be there, rather than, hey, there's really scary things in the basement that are gonna kill you. Leave a note. I don't know, write a thing on the porch in charcoal or something. Get
I thought you were
out.
gonna say it in blood.
Monsters. No. I'm trying to be more realistic here. I'm not gonna cut.
Hello, I have so much blood inside me. Just make a little message.
I feel like I would pass out by the time I got to like the GE, because like whenever I get pricked to like give blood or something like that, if I look at it, I'm like, and I get really nauseous after giving blood. So, um, I wouldn't leave a message in blood just because I'd pass out on the porch with like GET. Yeah,
Get.
get get on it.
So, yeah, those are in my mind the four types of men, and we will be discussing them as we go through the movies. We did also play a little like fun game where we we're keeping track of all the red flags that are happening in the beginning of the movie between Keith and Tess. And then I was just watching a video on someone else's, take on this movie, and they had some really good points. So I want to reference those as well when we get there. But let's go. Barbarian. Woo.
So to summarize, Tess is going to Detroit for a job interview. She books an Airbnb, arrives late in the night when it's storming. When she gets there, it turns out another person, Keith, has already booked it as well. So the Airbnb was double booked. She confirms it. In this confirmation, they flirt, they get a little friendly. And I'm like, oh, it's like a romance novel, which you talked about, that someone like spliced the movie into be like a romance.
Yeah, someone just like made like a fan edit trailer that's like, if Barbarian is a rom-com, and it's like, oh, a mishap with technology brings a man and a woman together to stay at this Airbnb. But it's like actually like they've edited it as a real rom-com. Like it's not like, but then it turns bad.
Yeah.
Because it's just like I could not find it. I got on Reddit. I was trying to find it. I was like searching TikTok Barbarian rom-com. I couldn't find it. I know as soon as we like post this episode is when I'll find it. It'll come back to me. Maybe if I just like say around my phone, Barbarian rom-com, like
there you go.
It'll listen to me and be like, you need it.
It'll be in your advertisements before you know it.
Well, I wish it would because I want to show it to you.
So they are there together. She goes to her job interview. He goes to do his businessy stuff. When she comes back, she gets locked into the basement, discovers a secret tunnel or a secret bedroom with a hallway, and it is disgusting. Very creepy, huge red flag. So when she gets back upstairs finally, after Keith lets her out, he goes to check it out.
Idiot.
But then he doesn't come back.
Idiot.
And she decides to go after him. She's too nice, honestly. And the Tess is too nice to these men who they don't. Keith, I get. AJ, anyway, she goes down there. Keith is murdered. She gets trapped. And then we flash to the same timeline or forward, actually, to AJ. He is an actor. He's being accused of rape, so he has to go liquidate his assets. So he goes to the Airbnb that the previous, I was going to say couple, but they're not a couple.
Not anymore.
Right? So he goes to the Airbnb because he owns it. And then he finds the basement creepy room and is like, oh my God, the square footage is amazing. So he's measuring it. He's like, this is gonna give me so much more money. And completely, like, we know that AJ is like the scum of the earth, right? But then he goes into this bedroom and is completely ignoring the fact that it's a nasty ass bed with a camera pointed at it and a bloody shitty bucket. Like, he's completely unfazed that he found this. Then he finds the tunnel with the measuring tape. He gets stuck in the tunnel. Tess makes it out, and then she tries to save him. AJ shoots her, and then at the end of this, I didn't even mention the mother. So in this tunnel,
waiting for it. I'm like, there's something down there.
I'm spiraling at this point. So should I start over? I don't even know anymore.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Keep going. I want to see where this goes.
Anyway.
Everything you're saying is correct.
It is, but it's all mess. Like, my brain is like a web. And I'm pulling on the wrong strings. Anyway. Keith is murdered by the mother, which is a deformed woman in the tunnel. That at this point we don't know is due to incest, but we will learn that later. AJ gets taken by the mother. Tess escapes. And in her escape, she's going to try and save AJ. AJ gets loose finds Frank, who is a disgusting human being, worse than AJ, by
If
all
you can
means.
believe it.
Literally the worst of the worst. And because he knows he's caught, he knows that people are going to know his dirty little secret. He
What's his
kills
dirty little
himself.
secret? What's his dirty little secret?
That he is a rapist and a sodomist and a pedophile and has had babies with his babies with his babies and has kept them in this tunnel locked in cages their whole life, basically.
You forgot kidnapper, but I'll let that one
Oh,
go.
yeah, he also kidnaps women and he has VHS recordings of all of them. So, kind of like Peach Fuzz.
Hey,
But Peach Fuzz is
those
a
are love
murderer.
stories. Those are love stories.
Uh, Peach Fuzz is delusional, though. I'll give him that. He doesn't know he's bad, or does he know he's bad? That's another topic for another day. Um, AJ makes it out, shoots Tess, thinking it's the mother, and then I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna save you. Takes her. They find the homeless guy. The homeless guy dies. They go up to this water tower for what? I don't know. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why is this your escape route? He
There's always
loses the
some big
gun.
breasted girl who can't act running up the stairs when she should be running out the front door.
So AJ does the most heinous act of his life and throws Tess off the roof as a sacrifice to the mother because she just wants to have her babies and she wants to take care of her babies. And Tess and AJ are her babies. AJ goes down. She's still alive. He's like, oh my God, I didn't know. And then the mother rips his head in two. And
Good for
then
her.
the saddest part of this whole movie, well, maybe not the saddest, but I get so sad. Tess and the mother who's going ba 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 at her, she has to shoot the mother because she wants to take her back to the house, but she's in so much pain, she can't move, and it's very sad. But it also puts the mother out of her misery. So there's that. The end. Tess lives, all the men and the mother die.
The end. We'll see you next time on Booze and Boobs.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Should we spin the wheel to see what we're going to discuss next? No, that was
Shortest podcast ever.
Oh, thank God. Sometimes we just ramble. I don't know who's in charge of that, but
I feel like that was 20 minutes. But you know what? We'll see in the editing.
I don't think so. But I mean, that was a descriptive summary. But yeah, so we can kind of discuss each man one by one because I mean, the movie is really great. So you mentioned Zach Cregger's directed it. He comes from like a really comedic background. He's part of like the Whitest Kids, like comedy is his thing. And in this foray into horror, I did some research finally. But he was talking about needing to get like a break from what he was doing and try something else. So as an exercise, he was like, let me create a scene and how many red flags can I put into it? And then we have the beginning of the movie where Tess shows up to the Airbnb. Well, maybe because they didn't make it to breakfast. There was no other B. I don't know.
It was just being dead.
Oh, R.I.P. You, all the others that came before you.
Should have called it the Air R.I.P. Air I.P. I'm sorry.
Air R.I.P.
It doesn't work. Just cut it. Next.
Every time you tell me to cut something, it makes me want to keep it in more because I'm like, here we are. Here's our personality. We're crazy. But yeah, so Tess shows up. She is trying to get in the little key lock box, finally gets in. There's no key. She's banging on the door. She's trying to call, whatever booking site she used. Because I think one is Airbnb, one, I think in the movie it's like Home Away or something like that. Like effectively, the two sites posted the listing and they both booked on separate sites. So Keith is like, hello, who are you? And she's like, this is my Airbnb. And he's like, it's my Airbnb. But then they discovered they show each other's reservations because Tessa is freaked out and confused and scared and doing everything right that a woman should be doing. They even have a conversation a little later about how if the roles had been reversed and Tess had been there before Keith got there, she's like, hell no, would I let you in? Absolutely not. You probably would have come in anyway because you're a man and men just get to make all their messes and not worry about anything, but women have to be careful. So, I mean, the movie is hitting you over the head with what this is about. Like, this isn't a monster movie. This isn't a home invasion movie. This is men suck. And the fact that it was written by a man, damn it. But they took it seriously because it was written by a man. Women have been writing this shit for years and we never get any credit. I'm mad.
Tell him.
I just did.
He's still mad though.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the problem's not fixed.
It's true.
I'm still mad about it.
You should write a horror movie.
I cannot confirm any future manuscripts at this time. Should we go over the red flags that Teth comes across? Like,
I
I want a nap.
What is his name?
Keith.
No. Oh, that was you combining Tess and Keith?
I guess so. I don't know.
I thought oh my god, hold on, what's his name? The boxer that bit somebody.
Muhammad Ali. Oh,
the
Mike
boxer
Tyson.
I didn't know Mike Tyson was invited on our podcast.
What I love is you're like, hold on, I need to pull out this reference so I can make my joke.
I was
and
like,
then, and then you're just, here's the joke.
And the whole time I'm like, what's his fucking name? Like, you're laughing and I'm like, what is this boxer's name so I can say this?
Now kiss.
You might be pregnant now.
Oh my god.
I would love to do the movie Split sometime.
We should. Oh man. Was I talking about others? I think she hasn't seen Split. I saw Split first, then I saw Unbreakable, and then I've seen Glass.
Yeah, I think I did Split and then Glass and then Unbreakable. What's the last one?
Glass.
Oh, so Split, Unbreakable, Glass is what I watched.
Okay, yeah, that's literally what I just said. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't know what order. I just know I went 2, 1, 3. I don't know the names.
That's literally what I just said, but thanks.
I feel like you don't need the first one to watch Split, though.
No, you don't.
It could be a standalone.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's, I mean, it came out, I think Unbreakable came out in like 2000, maybe 2001, something like that. Which is really great. I enjoyed that movie a lot. But like when I was 8 years old, I wasn't watching that. So when I saw Split, it was at the time when I was watching that. And then they had the end, and it's like, oh, this is like a franchise thing, like a tie-in. I was like, okay, I'm interested. Let me go back. And then Glass came out. And I think that that's really brilliant. I would love in 20 years to, well, no, I don't want to be here in 20 years, but I would love some time, if time was going to pass that I had to be here for, to be able to like weave in a story as well as I think that all flowed. So
yeah, because I think Yuri tried watching Glass and she was super confused because she was like, why is this chick in a zoo? Why does this matter? Who is this dude? Like, and I'm like, you have to watch the first ones so you can watch the last one.
Do you think like she could imagine watching Breaking Dawn without watching New Moon first? Hell no, you got to know what's going on.
She just saw it on like a streaming service and was like, okay. Had no idea that there were 2 prior movies to it. Okay, to the red flags. These are the red flags that
I was
I
gonna say,
listed.
here I am.
I share a podcast with a red flag. What color of flag am I?
What color flag are you?
I think I'm beige. I'm a beige flag. Neutral.
Am I a red flag?
I don't think you'd be a red. I think you're a yellow flag, honestly. I think it's
You're
just like
like,
warning. Warning. Proceed with caution. With an exclamation point on it. Like, hold on. Are you
it's like
sure you want to proceed?
it's like alert. Here's the waiver you have to sign.
Yeah.
You'll be safe. You just won't come out the same.
Yeah. You will be different. Can you handle a joke? Yes or no? Stop it.
I swear to God, I just heard a door opening. It is the middle of the day. I cannot do this lipstick face demon thing coming at me anymore.
Oh, yesterday I sent Rachel a Snapchat because my niece and I were watching The Nun, and I sent her a Snapchat of it was a dark hallway with like the nun way, way in the back, and I didn't even zoom in. And like that was my like, oh look what I'm watching kind of thing, right? And Rachel yells at me, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I'm like, bro, you couldn't even see her face.
Yes, I can. That's an iconic shot. The Warrens hallway with Valak at the end of it after everything I've told you about what that bitch has done to me.
I
And you're just
didn't
like,
send her face.
it wasn't her back.
You couldn't see it. It was so tiny.
It's her. It's all of her. It's not like Medusa where I'd have to gaze upon her and then I turn to stone. She's scary all the time.
Rachel is very easily scared, guys. And I don't know what we're doing hosting a horror podcast because Rachel gets so scared that she cries.
Well, that's not a very
And she's
nice
about
thing
to
to
cry.
say.
She's about to cry right now, guys.
I am not.
What's her lying face? You can't see it, but I see it. Now she's wiping her eyes because she's crying.
I just used eye drops earlier because I've got allergies.
Shut
That's
up.
a that's all. But now we are about to run out of time. Why don't you talk about this movie? Damn.
I tried. I did it for like 10 minutes. Did you not hear it just a little bit ago?
No, I spaced out.
Okay. Well, here are my red flags. Number one, no key in the
Brunette.
lock. She's so weird. We're not doing this again. Like we're not again. Rachel's a hater, guys. Number one, Rachel, be quiet. Number two, there no. Number one was there's no key in the lockbox. Bad Airbnb host. Number two, when she realizes that, she looks around. There are no other street lights, and you can tell that it looks completely abandoned in the neighborhood. Number three, there's a man in her Airbnb. What else do you need? Anybody? Anybody? No. I'd sleep in my car. There you have it. Number four, Keith was being, in my opinion, he was being like overtly nice to like offset the creepiness of the situation, I think, which is a good thing. But also it's like if you put it on too heavy, it's almost like it's fake.
Well, and that's kind of one thing, like I was kind of breaking some stuff down. So it's like, what are all of the things that he's doing? He's saying, hey, you can come in, you can sleep here because it's a mix up. Oh, I know it's a weird situation. Let me make you tea. There's food here. What do you need? Like, let me go back out in the rain and get your bags. Like, let me have access to your vehicle. I'll carry your stuff for you. Like, all of these things, like, honestly, like if we were just two women talking, which we are, but if we were just talking and we were like, I want a man who will, be chivalrous. I can't even say the word because it's such a foreign concept to me. But It's just like, someone who will be supportive, proactive, someone who is generous and considerate. Keith
Mhm.
is all of those things, but it's such an odd situation. And we as women are absolutely conditioned that, because, like, even if I try and believe you that you're just being a good guy, you're going to turn it in my face. So I have to
Yeah.
be hyper vigilant for my own safety. She goes to the bathroom, she's locking the doors. Um, like every room she goes in by herself, she locks the door behind her. She kind of inspects like his hygiene bag that was in the bathroom that she went in, and
Mhm.
she's like, okay, well, like it kind of does really look like he was
He's
just
just
a
staying here.
guy who was staying here. And then
Like she checks his wallet, takes a photo of it. I'm like, thank God. Cause like and think like his name matches his wallet, which matches the like confirmation page and all that stuff. So like he seems legit, but at the end of the day,
he's a
if
man.
she were to yeah, he's a stranger, he's a man, and she's alone. Like,
Well, and that's
yeah.
one thing too. It's like when she pulls up to the house, she's ignoring these calls from a Marcus. And when Tess and Keith, end up, finding some rhythm with each other and they're just relaxing, talking to each other like people, we get in on the tail end of a conversation about past relationships that they've both had. Like they are warming up to each other. We assume, obviously, that that's Marcus. My very few gripes do I have with Tess. I think there's so many things that she does right. One thing I would say, and we really don't know much about her or her family or anything else, but like, do you have anybody else besides this Marcus that you can show us is an outside connection that you have? Because I'd be calling my mom and I'd be like, I'm at an Airbnb. This is my address. Like, I would say it out loud. I'm calling my mom. I'm at this
Mhm.
address. This is some guy. I've read his driver's license. If anything happens to me, it's this guy who's done it. I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have stayed, but for the sake of the movie, Tessa
Right.
stayed. So,
Like his
I,
license plate number, his fucking social security, it's all going to multiple people.
yeah, well, I mean,
Like
yeah,
you
you literally
don't
have my location. Like, I think I've said it on the podcast before. Like, I had when I was moving cross country, you like text me, you're like, "How's Arizona?" And
yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, fucking stalker," but it's
I gotta
okay
check
because it's
I,
you're looking out for me.
I gotta check on my Sims every once in a while, make sure they're doing okay. They're not
I'm just
running
the
off.
one like on fire inside the pool, running around like.
But yeah, he Keith does everything correctly, but so does Tess in this instance. And at the end of the day, if it was Keith and if it was like if he was like the bad guy in all of this, Tess would be the one blamed for staying with a man in an Airbnb and not for the man killing her.
True.
And it's things like that that are so frustrating. It's like what just let us live. Like let people fucking live.
Well, and that's all we're asking for. And I have seen this clip before, but it's Priyanka Chopra, who I hate to introduce as Nick Jonas's wife because she is a successful actor and an activist in her own right, but people will recognize her name. So see, there's the fucking patriarchy at work. I was like, hey, this is her affiliation. But she is having a panel talking about, a man, says like, oh, like you want equal rights so I can beat you. And she's like, equality and opportunity are different things. It's the fact that it's not, I have kids and a job. It's not so we can physically abuse each other. It's the fact that when I am in a position of power, no one's like, oh, you got that far for a woman. It's like
Mhm.
we have always, since the dawn of time, we have always been business women. We're juggling so many things all the time. We're multitaskers. We have been forced to adapt. So, oh, mom's a better cook than dad. Well, does dad practice? Does dad try
Mhm.
anything? Does dad get better at the laundry? Does he practice folding clothes? Like, we're not born knowing how to do these things. we just have been forced to do them, so we become good at them, but boys just got to make messes and sit on the couch while the women are cleaning in the kitchen. So like what you were saying, even about like, even if Keith was just a good guy and Tess was a good girl, like, and they were just doing whatever, it's still the point of the movie is that the fucking patriarchy is gonna kill you anyway.
Yep.
So
And even though at the end of all of this, like the mother killed Keith, yes, the mother killed AJ, the mother killed the homeless man. Why is the mother like that? It's because Frank abused all of these women and children, abused children who had children who he then abused and had another child and then abused. Generations of abuse and neglect created the mother. And when you think about it, like the true barbarian of this movie is Frank, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Well, and I think that
So,
that's an interesting thing too to discuss, like the title just being Barbarian, because
not barbarians.
it's a barbarian culture, it's a barbarian man, like a barbaric, disgusting, ugh, that has like that butterfly effect into everything that's going on now.
Mm-hmm. He is the root cause.
So really what we're trying to say is men ain't shit. There are more red flags if you didn't suspect.
Yeah. We like to go on tangents as well, if you did not know. If this is your first episode, welcome. This is another tangent. Um, but I think, yes, Keith being overly gentleman-y is a red flag just because it feels like he's trying too hard. And for what? Like, what do you want? Because we're conditioned that if men do something for you, they expect something in return,
Mhm.
which is not how it should be. Like, if you're at a bar and a man buys you a drink, you don't owe him anything. He offered that. That's his choice. Just because a man pays for a date doesn't mean you got to sleep with him either.
I wish you would have told me that when I was 22.
I don't think he wanted to hear that at 22.
No.
So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it has to be explicitly told to women that like, listen, you don't owe him anything. And even after you hear it a couple times, you're like, yeah, but no.
Ugh,
You get
yeah.
to a point in your life where you're like, I don't owe anybody any shit, period. Like I don't owe anybody anything. And I think that's just maturity or bitterness creeping in at your old age, our old age, but who knows?
I think you can't have maturity without the bitterness. Like you have to know. And unfortunately, there are lessons that you have to learn. I mean, that sucks, but like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, the me now and the me 10 years ago, I was talking about this with Marissa. I was like, I said something about like 25-year-old me. It's like, I'm kind of scared of that girl. Like, she was bold, she did crazy stuff. I guess I said something about she was working late. And I was like, yeah, like I used to get off at 10 p.m., then go change, then go meet my friends, then we'd go to the bar, then I'd end up who knows where because I've wandered
Right.
off. And it's like me now, I'm like, it's 8:30. I really can't even start a movie. I need to get ready for bed.
Yeah, it's 90-minute movie max. Like,
Literally. I'm like, what kind of movie do you want to watch? I was like, because I'm not gonna be giving my all to something 2.5 hours long right now.
yeah, it's like I could watch an episode of something. I could do that. Which, speaking of, random thought, tried to start watching Yellowstone because I keep seeing it everywhere.
Yeah,
Um, and one episode is over an hour long. I'm like, each episode is a fucking movie.
that's
Are you kidding me?
how it's working now. If something, I mean, because we don't have the ad constraints and time slots for network television anymore. So
I
everything's
guess
just
that's
streaming. It's
fair.
like you're just doing what you do. Like sometimes it's nice, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? Pretty Little Liars put me through a whole lot in 43 minutes. And you guys are taking 72 minutes and it's just more of the same stuff.
I feel like if you don't have a time limit, you're just dragging it on, giving me unnecessary information.
That's how I felt about this book I just read, Icebreaker, and I know the girlies love it. But I don't know what I was doing, but like I thought I saw it when I was like I don't know, downloading that it was only 30 chapters. So then I was in like chapter 23, just, scrolling and swiping. And I was like, yeah, like we're about to wrap this up. We're gonna be pretty good. And then like I don't remember, I opened up the full menu and it was like 50 something chapters. And I was like, I'm not even halfway. I was like, I was already like, this is not as good as people are thinking. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't get where you're getting enemies to lovers. We have nothing to be enemies about. I don't
Mhm.
even know what is going on. Like, where's the plot? And I was like, no, 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 it's gonna come. It's gonna come. Like, we're gonna get some plot. And then I got to the epilogue and I was like, there was no plot. I read all that, but no plot. And I was like, why are these books so long? Why? Why do
Well,
they have to be so long?
I felt, did you finished Malice, right?
No.
Rachel, come on, I need to talk about it.
Just
Anyway,
not today, not on this podcast, but you can just tell
uh,
me.
I'm getting upset. Okay, we're going back to the Barbarian, guys. Um,
Barbarian is actually less stressful for us because we're like, yeah, this is just what life is like.
right. I guess I was gonna say in the books, like somebody's making those choices like to end it like that. I guess Barbarian's the same way. But I liked the ending of Barbarian. You know? Like the girl lived. She's hella traumatized
I'm
and
like,
will never be the same,
I'm like,
but she lived
I was like, is it
and
worth
she
it?
was a badass.
She
So
was.
yeah.
Tess approached conflict. She rationalized things, like even things that I don't think were great decisions. I believe her.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she was always trying. And it's all the fucking men around her that, pushed, I don't want to say pushed the narrative forward, but like kept the trauma train rolling, you know?
Yeah. Because obviously her previous relationship was toxic. She talked about how like she just became like a doll or something like that. Like I don't remember exactly how she phrased it.
Oh, but she did say something like that,
Yeah,
which
like
is,
she
yeah.
basically just became like an accessory or something to her ex. And she's like, this is not who I am. So she's finally broken out of this toxic relationship. She meets Keith. That goes fine. They like each other. They had a great time. Like they had things in common. They had seen the same obscure jazz documentary, which why the fuck would anybody watch a jazz documentary? I don't know.
Well, that's the position that Tess is doing.
Yeah.
She's applying to be a researcher for this documentarian.
Mm-hmm.
And then Keith over the unopened bottle of wine because he's waiting for her before he opens the bottle of wine because he's thinking about her perception, which
Yeah.
is so scary, but you're like, but correct, but
It's refreshing because he's like, I understand you didn't see me make the tea. So like, let me open this bottle of wine in front of you. And in my head, I'm like, you can still put a syringe in through the cork and put poison in there. Like, but there you can still drug her. But Tess wait, she says no, and she lets him drink the wine. And like, I don't know if she was like waiting to get comfortable or like waiting to see if anything affected him
well,
with it.
I really think it's the conversation that starts with a documentarian thing
Mm-hmm.
because she's there to meet the documentarian, got the Airbnb, oh, I can't even say it right. This is Sharon and Rose all over again. The Airbnb, got the place, got the room, got the home, got the bed, whatever it's gonna be. Got the plot device. Um, to go meet with the lady documentarian. So yes, this movie does pass the Bechdel test.
I was just
Um,
thinking that earlier.
and then Keith says, like, oh, like, is it anything I've seen? And she's like, yeah, like some jazz documentary came out last year. And he's like, oh no, I've seen that. And she's like, you've seen it? And he's like, yeah, it's about blah 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 blah. And she was like, whoa. So like we're always so impressed when a man like speaks eloquently because men are always just playing games and they're lying to like get something from you. So it's like, oh, you can back this up with facts and knowledge. I was like, okay. So then, they're talking about that. And then they cut to being on the couch. They're both drinking wine.
Yeah. So she was able to get comfortable and actually have like full discussions and conversations with things. And we learned that Keith has, had his heart broken because Tess talks about how like men just rip, basically, like rip women's hearts out, like, and feel nothing. And he is like, trust me, girls can rip too.
Yeah, they
So
sure
like,
fucking can.
ask a lesbian, they'll know. Um, he's overly gentlemanly, but because it's Keith, it's genuine. But because of society, it's a red flag of what do you want? Like, what are you trying to get out of me? I mean, that kind of goes in with like Keith is at the table waiting, like Rachel talked about, like over explaining why he didn't open the wine. And it's like, okay, we get it. Like, you don't have, it's a little bit mansplaining. Like, we all know why you're not opening the wine and why, but I get it. It's for the male audience.
That's what I was about to say. It's like, I know you don't watch House of the Dragon, but there's, stuff going on right now. And the Dowager Queen,
Mm-hmm.
her son, the king, is out of commission because he's been hurt in battle. And the council is talking about like, well, who can lead in his stead? And she stands up and she's like, well, when my husband, the king, was sick, I ran the country. I can do it now for my son. And then they're all like, no, 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 no. We can't let a woman lead because the whole reason we're starting this war is because we wouldn't let the daughter be the heir. And you put your son as the heir, even though she's older and the king named her. Well, now we can't have you. And then there's this beautiful scene where she just like sits back in the chair after all of the men there are like, nope, not you, lady. And she's like aghast that this patriarchal society that she thought she was doing all of the work for, that they would pick her, didn't pick her.
Don't be a pick me girl because they will never pick you.
They'll never pick you. But it's in this episode that it's like they literally have to say it so explicitly because people don't understand what's going on. So what you're talking about with the male audience is like Keith has to like have the dialogue to say this stuff because men are like, oh, I just didn't think about opening it. I hate
Yeah,
I
they're
hate so much.
stupid.
I always tell my
Well,
mom when I'm trying to like convert her into feminism because she is a feminist because she has a job and votes, but she's like, I don't need feminism. I just do my own thing. And I'm like, okay, but that's another topic. But I'm always like, she's like, feminists hate men. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I hate men.
mhm.
Feminism's like feminists don't hate men.
They want
It's me. I
feminism.
do.
Feminism wants equality. Like that's
I
equal to
want
men.
to
They don't
burn
hate men.
them.
Like what is it? Masochist? No. What's the word? It's the opposite.
Misandrist.
Misandrist, not masochist.
What if I'm both?
More power to you. No, but a misandrist feels that men, like women, are better than men, and I feel like all women should be misandrist because all men are misogynistic. I
which
have
is
heard.
which is equality at its finest, really.
So, other than the man or the bear TikTok trend discussion, there's now a discussion about like men are not born leaders because like men typically will take like if you tell them what to do, they're more than happy to do it, but they don't want to have to think of what needs to be done. Like if you look in like just terms of like a household, well, you didn't tell me I needed to do the dishes. You didn't tell me I needed to take the trash out. She shouldn't have to tell you anything. But the woman is having to do the thinking, the logistics, how we're going to get there, how we're going to pay for it. Like women are the leaders and men just need to be told what to do. And I'm like, that's not a leader. That's why all the men
That's an
just can
employee.
be soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
A
Go to war.
soldier,
Bye.
an
Leave me
employee.
alone.
Do your duty. Do the hard labor. We'll lead the country.
Yeah, get out. Bye. Anyway, we have really derailed. We have not even like we've summarized so people know what's going on in the movie. There's just so much that you can relate into the hellscape, which is our current society,
Oh, it's so
that
bad.
this 100-minute movie is just giving us hours and hours of think pieces.
If you didn't want to hear a rant, you should not have clicked play on this podcast. I'm sorry.
But if you want one, here's another.
If it's one thing Rachel and I can do, it's talk shit. Okay.
You got a Virgo, a Capricorn. You gave us some microphones.
We hate everybody.
Even you. I'm just kidding. Thanks for being here. Love you. Mean it.
You're so special to us. You don't even understand.
Your face with me.
They can't see my face. It's fine.
I'll just put it in the stories like
with the eyes. Okay, moving on through the red flags before we get derailed again.
I'll be quiet.
It's really hard. It's hard. Okay, so next red flag.
I can't do it. I'm just
Rachel, shut up. I'm gonna mute. Oh, I can't mute you because I'm not the like Zoom person. Anyway, we see Tess finally gets into bed because the sheets are dry because she didn't want to, which fair, she didn't want to like use his dirty sheets and blankets. We have a fun moment of him showing her the duvet cover trick that he has. I thought that was a really cute moment. I loved it. My heart. Anyway, she falls asleep and in the middle of the night, she wakes up to a sound and then looks over and her door is open to her bedroom, which I don't think she locked it the first time because she got comfortable. She was having fun.
No, she locked it.
She did the first time?
Yeah, after they say goodnight, he leaves and she does lock the door.
Okay.
Also, and this is just one thing that's gotten me. I was like, why is there only one bedroom in this house?
I mean, it was built in like the 80s and 70s. Like,
well, I mean, the previous timeline was in the 80s. We don't know when the house was built. But yeah, I'm just like, it's just a bedroom. I mean, it's like a decent house.
mm-hmm.
Like there's like a large living room, dining room, there's bathroom, there's basement. So I mean, like there's space in the house. I just think as a house, why is there only one bedroom? Because that's not even a single family home. That's like a person.
A single person. Yeah. The plot needed a one bedroom home. I don't know.
There was only one bedroom, but they're not sleeping together. It's not it's not a rom-com.
Dang it. You do see in the flashback when it's like 1980 that it's a very cookie cutter, like everybody's house looks the same kind of deal. I hate those neighborhoods. They drive me crazy. Anyway, not the point. She wakes up in the middle of the night, her door is open, and she can see Keith on the couch, like having a nightmare, making noises and stuff. So she wakes him up, like he's very much sleeping. Like he didn't open your door, but she wanted to ask him to make sure. And he's like, what the fuck? Why are you standing over me? That's fucking creepy. And she's like, did you open my door? He's like, no, I didn't fucking open your door. The hell? Anyway, they have that moment. Next morning, her alarm didn't go off.
We have like when Tess is approaching Keith and he's like making his little noises, she like crosses across. She's going over the hallway area. Then as she passes and we see that basement door close, like down the hall behind her. So we're like, there's something in the house.
Yeah. And the first time watching this, that part wasn't very noticeable. So I will say your first time watching through this, like you think Keith is the bad guy. Like he's a red herring, most definitely. And that's just the trauma. I don't know. We should have asked like a dude if they've watched this, like if they thought Keith was the bad guy or not, to see if like they saw the same red flags that we saw.
I don't talk to men, but that would be a good idea.
Yeah. Maybe, do we really want men's opinions?
They're going to tell you anyway.
That's fair. If you're a man, comment your opinion. We might read it. That was a little bit of a red flag for her. The next morning, her alarm clock doesn't go off. We know how that goes, Rachel.
Oop.
Oh, gotta go.
Hey, we made that cruise.
We did. We made the flight. Our bags made the flight. It was amazing.
I just found Katrina said when she did the scene titles and everything that she put in some Taylor Swift references, but like, yeah, duh, here's one. I skimmed your notes, but yeah. Yay. Oh my God, this one's good. Emotional. Oh man, she is really, these are really good scene titles.
Thanks. I tried.
Oh my God, the last couple are really good. Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna go through these really quickly because I think that the scene titles are very important. I think that your
Okay.
work should be showcased. When Tess arrives at the beginning of the movie, scene title, When It Rains, It Pours. And then Pillow Talk is what takes us up until the point where we are now, is the end of this first night, and they've, you know, become friendly. Then we've got Love Letter, where Tess sees a note from Keith that he went to go do his thing. He's going to come back, leave the key in the lock thing. That way, if he comes back before her, that way he can get in the house. And then we got One Look, Dark Room, Meant Just for You. I can't even believe you pulled that out. Like, where did you find that?
Google.
Oh,
Google.
what
I
did
don't
you
even know.
Google to pull
I
out
don't
You Are in Love from 2014? But
I think I googled like dark or some like Taylor Swift lyrics that had like dark or something in there, and I saw that and I'm like, okay, that
oh
that
man,
fits.
so good.
Even though it's not a love song because that's the R room. Have
But
you
it
seen?
was it was a love song for me to read it.
Yes.
So, One Look, Dark Room, Meant Just for You is where Tess is stuck in the basement after trying to get toilet paper. One roll of toilet paper, by the way. She didn't even bring it back up.
She didn't.
And she gets stuck in the basement and then is feeling her way around and then finds a rope that's a pull door that leads her to the bad place.
The bad
And
place.
then she has gotten out because Keith has let her out. He came home. She got his attention from the basement window. He lets her out. She's like, "We gotta go. We gotta go." Like, there's a room, there's a camera, there's a bucket. Like, it's gross. And he's like physically blocking her way because he's like, "Whoa, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not just gonna leave because you found a room with a bed and a bucket." And I'm like, that's I found a room with a bed. That's enough. I
Yeah.
need to get the fuck out. You made it worse with camera and bucket. So work on,
Yeah, I think
who's
she needed to
driving?
add some adjectives to that, like shitty blood bucket and a nasty sheetless stained mattress and an old ass camera angled at the bed.
Yeah, sure, because Keith is like, I just want to go like see it for myself. Like, you're asking me to leave. I haven't even seen anything, which is so weird because it's like it's such a weird fucking concept that why would she be lying to you about that? Especially considering your history. But he's a fucking man who, just needs to have control of the situation. Because this is where Keith kind of gets into the point. It's like, you were doing so well. Now you're just
Mm-hmm.
fucking around and being a man. Why? Because it's daylight and you're like, I have all my power now. Fuck off. So he's like, I'm gonna go check it out. Tess is like, I'm not going down there. Like, she's waiting with her keys and her bag. I mean, she's still waiting, which is on her, but
She's
plot
too
device.
nice.
Plot
Yeah.
device. And then it's been a minute. Keith hasn't come back and been like, oh yeah, that's fucking creepy. We should probably get out of here. No. And then she's like calling after him. He doesn't come. She, gets that yucky feeling in your stomach when you're like, I know something bad's happening, but like I can't
Mm-hmm.
can't leave. This is Tessa's character flaw. She's not a leaver. And this is
Yeah.
how she gets in all of these situations. She thought she was leaving because she was going to go to Detroit to get this job, but she won't leave Keith in this fucking house alone. Then she won't leave AJ. And then, I mean, then she ends up leaving the mother, but I'm not there yet with the scene titles.
Have you
So
seen Avatar?
the,
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
no,
Okay, we have to sing this next scene title. So you won't get this one. But there's a song in Avatar: The Last Airbender where they're like, secret tunnel, secret tunnel. Anyway, that's the next title.
good job.
Thank you.
Because that's true. Because Keith apparently investigated a little more and found that just beyond the bedroom is another tunnel downstairs. And Tess has her phone flashlight on. She's like, Kitty, like, come on, go. Like, you're not making this any better for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then she goes down the stairs and is in these caverns, long tunnels. They're all like stone. And then she finds like these cages, like crate cages, and she's freaking out because women fucking know things.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It's an intuition.
she ends up finding Keith, who kind of ends up finding her. and he says that there's someone else down there and he got bitten, and Keith is trying to take her out one way, but Tess is like, no, this is the way, but Keith is like, no, this is the way. And it's really scary. And this part was in the trailer because, we saw them at the, I guess, on the surface. And
Mhm.
then in the trailer, you see her like finding the room, and then you see her finding Keith in a tunnel. So it's like you don't know what the movie's actually about because they've only given you this first act, which I love when trailers do that.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, yes, like I had
Don't give it away.
absolutely no idea what I was getting into here. But while they are arguing about which way to get out, this creature comes up from behind Keith, who is Keith. Keith is Bill Skarsgård, who's like 6'3", 6'4". Like he played Pennywise. He was in Castle Rock. Like he's a big fucking dude. And he had been like crawling to get away. And the mother, as we will find out, like takes him and just like rips him, beats his head against the stone wall until he dies. And then it just goes like, at Tess, and then black screen.
And then Ocean View.
Well, and here's the thing. So I saw this movie when I was living in San Diego, which was one of the worst theater experiences I've ever had. Like, we're only up until like the end of the first act. There were so many people in there fucking talking and taking out their phones and being so loud. And I'm just like, I was literally like, my hands were gripping the seats next to me. Marissa will remember, I'm like, I'm gonna have to leave. Like, I
Mhm.
can't handle this. Like, I just want to watch the movie. Then we get to that end scene. We have a cut, and we're all like, "What the fuck just happened?" Because it's black for a minute. Like
Yeah.
you would think you're like, "Well, story's over. Think
Yeah.
what you want. We're not getting out of this one." But then no, we're on like the PCH or something. Like there's the ocean. We're on like the Pacific Coast Highway. I mean,
Mhm.
it's got to be the PCH. I mean, because AJ's in LA.
It does it a few times throughout the movie that it's like dark and terrifying, scary moment, and then it cuts to like bright color, relaxed, like ocean.
Mm.
And then the next time when it's super dark and dreary, it cuts to like the 1980s where it's bright, colorful, and it's Frank, you
Blech.
know. But we don't know it's Frank yet. We don't know who it is, what he's doing, any of that at that time.
Yeah, but now we
So
have AJ with the he emotional scene.
very emotional.
And Katrina's gonna take over because now I've done the first act. It's on you.
Well, we see AJ in his red convertible, living life, doing what his thing. Anyway, he gets a phone call. His co-actress is suing him for sexual aggravation or sexual what does she call it? Anyway, claiming he raped her.
That's assault,
So
brother.
yeah, yeah, I'd say that's no bueno. So he's like, what a fucking bitch, which is the next scene title is fucking bitch. Because we don't even know this chick's name until AJ goes to the Airbnb because he's got to liquidate all his stuff. And then he gets drunk, talks to his friend, says, yeah, well, she didn't want it at first, but trust me, by the end, she wanted it. Like she said, she didn't say no, but she didn't say yeah. Anyway,
Well,
he had
so
to
yeah,
he had to like coerce her into it.
yeah, because AJ has, in his mind, not fled California, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just gone home to see what he can do about getting some money because his agency is dropping him, and his financial advisor is dropping him because they don't want to be associated with his
Allegations.
allegations. So he's like, well, I need to get some money. I have this Airbnb. I'm going to go there and try and figure my shit out. But did you know that the friend that he's talking to when they go out to the bar is the director? That's a little cameo.
Really?
Hmm. So
Oh,
it's just
nice.
like, it's a static shot where you just see a bar. We just see this one guy with like mostly his backside turned to the camera. The guys are just talking, and it's his friend, but I'm just going to call him Zach because that's the guy. He's like, like, what happened? Like, I'm your friend. Like, you can tell me, like, what's going on. And we learn because AJ's been like vehemently denying, I didn't rape her. I didn't rape her. I didn't rape her. And he's like, well, I mean, it's not like I'm like, I'm gonna rape you, girl. Which
Yeah.
is which is what men think is rape. They don't think, and that's the whole I can't get into it. We know rape's bad, AJ's bad. He doesn't think he's bad, but he's bad. Oh, he
Yeah.
makes me mad.
If you have to convince someone to have sex with you,
Well, and it's like
Fill in the blank.
I think if you're just ending up going quiet while it's happening, like that's
Well, and
okay.
it's such like men don't realize like
Well,
women
they
are
do.
afraid. Well, no, men don't realize that women are afraid to say no explicitly and firmly for safety reasons. Also, they work together. He's probably like the main star on this pilot that they just did for this series. She's afraid of like upsetting him because he probably has more pull and it's anyway, if you're a woman, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So good for
Anyway,
Megan for calling him
yes,
out
that's her
and
name.
suing him. Good for Megan. AJ goes home when he's drunk. Oh, because he is staying at this Airbnb and then he sees luggage and stuff that's still there. He calls the property
It's
management
like,
company
yeah,
and he's like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like, no one stayed there in like 2 weeks. And he's like, you haven't had any cleaners come? And they're like, cleaners come before the next guest. And he's like, well, how would I know if someone trashed the place? And she's like, well, is it trash? And I'm like, bad property management company. Good for her for talking shit to AJ because we hate him.
yeah.
Two
I
things
think
can be true.
well, and when he went to go pick up his keys for the Airbnb, he's like, I'm here to pick up my keys. And the girl at the front desk is like, and who are you? And I loved that because I'm like, he just assumed I'm this huge star. Everybody's gonna know who I am. And he got humbled real quick. He's like, AJ, blah blah blah. I don't remember his name. I don't really care. Um, but I will say that Justin Long did a good job making us hate AJ. So
He
good
is a
job.
scream king. He's great. Because here's the thing. He is not in any of the advertisements for this movie. Like, all we know is girl, Pennywise, creepy house. That's
Yeah.
it. So the fact that they got us and they got us with Justin Long, I
Mm-hmm.
literally, like, when I saw him pop up, I was like, huh? I was like, I'm sad. Like, whatever is going to happen, I trust. Like, I am on this ride.
I at that point I was like, is this turning into a comedy? What is he doing here? Because I've always known him for his comedy roles, less so like his horror movie roles and things like
Even though
that. So I
he's
was
been in
like,
several horror movies, but he always
yeah.
plays like a similar type of good guy, bad things happen to. This is
Mm-hmm.
one of his first roles where he's been a perpetrator. But he's
Yeah.
so fucking funny. And that's like, I think when you have a horror movie from someone with a comedic background, I mean, that's what we get before AJ, starts inspecting the tunnels because, oh, look at all the square footage. He
Mm-hmm.
sees all these things. He's going through the stuff. He's trying to get into Tessa's laptop. She's got password protected. He can't break it. He just chucks the laptop across the room.
Oh,
He's like
I
running
hated
around.
him.
He's rummaging through things. Like he's just like he has no concept of anything but self. But it's
Mm-hmm.
playing so well because we know there have been horrible things happening in this basement. And then he just sees space and he's like, cha-ching, cha-ching. Like he goes
Yeah.
to his computer and is like Googling, like, can tunnels be included in square footage? Because he's trying to sell his house for as much as he can to get lawyer
Mm-hmm.
money. And then it's like, you can't include it in like living space, but it can be in like total area. He gets his tape measure out, and this is one of the things I saw in another video I was watching. It's like when Tess goes down there, she obviously is very frightened. We have a completely different tone, but she's like got her flashlight out. She's looking at everything before she's moving. But we've got AJ, who's got his tape measure out, who's walking in backwards while he's measuring. Like he is taking no safety concerns. He goes right by the cages. And like there's just nothing computing here that there could potentially be anything wrong. And I think it's a really beautiful way to showcase the ideals that Tess and Keith were talking about, where women have to be careful, but a man will just barge right in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
And
even that
it's
Justin Long is like, 6'4", beefy man. Like, you don't have to be a certain type of man, but when you grow up as a man, it's just kind of
you
natural.
experience the world differently. And it's funny because the way that he discovered that room was because he heard something and the basement door was open. So he gets this like little steak knife and a flashlight, and he's like, I've got a gun and I'm gonna start blasting. And it's like, bro, nobody believes you. And he's so like he's scared, but he's still got this like facade of a macho man that he's like, I can't let anybody know that I'm scared. Like, and he doesn't even call the police. Like, these people could be missing. He doesn't care about them though. He cares about himself, like you said. But yeah,
That's a
that takes
great
us
point.
into the next scene of Size Does Matter, where he's measuring the tunnel and the basement, which goes into our next title. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I just said, measure this, bitch. And as he's like measuring this tunnel, he finds a room where he thinks the squatters are staying in. And so he's like looking at it. He's like, what the fuck? Because there's like blankets on the ground, and then there's a tape of a woman nursing a baby. And he's like, what the fuck? And then he hears something, and it's something grabbing the end of his tape measure.
Which is already scary. Tape measures freak me out.
I had it. This kid cut his tendon in his hand because one kid like ripped it out of his hand in high school, and I was ever since I'm like, I can't do it.
No,
I
like
go like this.
even
I
for
drop it.
holding
I'm
the
like,
side and the back, I'm like, it's like when it like connects back, I'm like, I just drop it. I'm like, you can just have it.
Honestly, I go like this and go, and I throw it. Like I can't do it.
See, that's smart. We're women. We're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we're not messing with that. It's taking people's tendons.
Anyway, back to the movie.
Back to
After
the
this,
movie. We're still, well, I mean, we got sidetracked talking about the tape measure, so we missed the fact that now
AJ's tape measure gets rattled and like pulled into the dark, and then he sees the mother. He sees someone, he doesn't really know what it is, and starts running, where he then falls and then sees her up close, is like, oh shit, runs faster, falls into the hole where he finds Tess, and she like tries to like calm him down and be like, bro, chill. You gotta, I understand it's hard at this moment for him to like be chill, but read the fucking room.
oh, but it's so great when we see Tess alive and the white blouse she had been wearing is all dirty. Like she's looking rank. I mean, we know it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been weeks, long time. So she's obviously been eating something, which we will learn in a minute. But once he falls in and sees Tess, it cuts. Like it's these high intensity, like adrenaline, like, oh my God, what the fuck is it? And then it's like birds chirping, and now it's 1982, and the grass is perfectly manicured and green, and we're seeing a flashback of the current house and the neighborhood when it was thriving. I felt like 1982 was kind of a Taylor Swift reference, so that's why I put it in there. Because like 1989 almost, but not quite.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you thinking of that. I see 1982 and I think of my brother and I'm like, again, a
um,
man.
yeah. So first time seeing this, we don't know who this man is. At this point, we know Tess, Keith, and AJ, like, and that's really about it. Like there aren't that many other characters in this movie. So we just see a random man in his 40s, 50s. People back then always looked older than what they were.
But he's not like Tom Cruise, who is like
No,
in his
he's
late 50s, but like is getting around. Like this is like
he's
an
a rough
old man.
45. And he's like, he's just a Joe Smo. He's like skinny, tall, and he gets into his car, and we hear it's like Reagan in Ronald Reagan. So we know it's the 80s during Reagan's era, whatever we want to call it. But he goes to the store, he's buying plastic sheets, diapers, and he mentions that, oh, the baby's not here yet, and it's going to be a home birth.
Who's
We
he
don't know
mentioning all
anything
this
else.
to?
He's talking to the store associate. I don't know. She's helping him try to find some stuff. And she's overly helpful because she's so excited because, like, oh my God, you're going to have a baby. And women are just more helpful than they need to be. Like Tess, who is more helpful than she needs to be. She gives him the diapers, the wipes, this VHS tape about caring for a baby, which we have already seen, which is a little bit of a tie to the video of the nursing baby and this.
It is the
But
same video.
yeah, but your brain doesn't always make that connection right away.
Oh, maybe your
It,
brain.
it didn't. It didn't in mine.
Maybe your brain doesn't
I was trying to
know.
figure out who the fuck this dude was. I'm like, who are these people? You just introduced them. Like, I was just in a hole in a tunnel, and now I'm 40 years earlier in a store. Like, my brain's still trying to figure some stuff out. Okay. Anyway, after Frank leaves the store, he puts his stuff in his car, and then we see him watching a woman. And then as she leaves, he leaves. So we're like, oh, this is weird. She pulls into her house. He gets out of his car. He parks like half a block away around the corner so he can't be seen. Puts on puts on a onesie. No, it's like a mechanic's jumpsuit kind of thing. This is Carlos.
This man
Goes
looks
to talk.
nothing like a Carlos.
No. And later on, when he goes to talk to his fucking neighbor, he's still wearing the Carlos suit, and he knows his name is Frank. What is the deal?
People
Anyway.
don't pay attention. They don't want to cause waves with other people.
They don't. Frank pretends to be like an employee checking the water or the gas. I don't know. He makes his way to her bathroom saying, oh, I need to check stuff. There's an outage. Unlocks the window and then says, sorry for the intrusion. No, the fuck you're not. And then he goes home so that he could set himself up for later. What a bitch.
Well, yeah, and that's it. Like, because he just comes home, he talks to his neighbor who's like, hey, I want to tell you before you see it, we're putting a sign up. We're leaving the neighborhood. My wife wants to get out of here because the whole neighborhood's going to hell.
Mm-hmm. When Frank's like, I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah, because they're like, you should get out too. And he's like, I'm staying. This is my house. And well, like, yep, he's staying there for sure. But it's just one of those things because the neighborhood in the current timeline, like, it is dilapidated. Like, I can't believe some of these walls are still standing, like the whole state of it. And
it's so bad.
How this is like the only house that's fine, which obviously it has an owner with a property management company who's doing something about it, but like this is just a decrepit place. So like, sure, the neighborhood is going to hell because we know about it, but it's like, come on, can you guys have some pride in your city and rehabilitate some of these things? Because then maybe your homeless person wouldn't have lived at the water tower for 15 years. They could have had a house because men and the patriarchy are ruining everything. So people can't even have homes, but the homes that are out there are already trash. I'm taking my earbuds out. I'm turning this microphone off. I gotta leave.
Take 10. No, because when Tess went to her interview, the lady was like, oh, where are you staying? And she said Brighton or whatever the name of the town is.
Brightmoor.
And she was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, you shouldn't be there. 100% serious. And she's like, oh, no, it's fine. And she's like, no, you really shouldn't be there. And when Tess gets home, that's when the homeless man chases her. I'm like, those two things coinciding with each other, should have told you, get the fuck out.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at that point, she should have gotten in her car and left, but she didn't because she was already on the pathway of getting into the house. But then after Tess called the cops and the cops wouldn't come, she's like, well, I'm not leaving because I don't know where this other man is. And the fact that man left, like he was so concerned running down the street to be like, don't be in that house, but he left her. Like that would have been a perfect time to be like, hey, I know I'm crazy pants. Like you don't know me, but let me just tell you there's some crazy stuff going on there. Call the cops and get out of here.
Well, and that's the other thing that's happened. It happens 2 or 3 times that she tries to contact the police and the police won't come out, B, won't listen to her and think she's some crazy person. Like, we'll get there in just a minute, but like if the police aren't responding to the area you're in, you know it's a really bad area.
Well, they said that they didn't have any available units.
That's
to
a cop
go.
out.
Well,
They could have at least been like, oh, we don't have any available units. It'll be another 30 minutes. Like, stay
yes, but
tight.
I'm just
The
saying
911 operator was not
they didn't
phased.
say they're not responding to the area. They said they don't have available units.
I'm like, bitch, find one. How about you
Find
get in a
one.
cop car and come out here, huh?
You don't want me to. Well,
But
actually, maybe you do want me coming
when
down there. I will get
Yeah.
shit done.
Rachel's scary. So when Frank gets home, he goes down to the basement, and when he opens the basement door, we hear screaming in the basement. So that's when we kind of were like, owner of the basement, like, this is the guy.
Yeah, I mean, and we already had seen multiple cages, but Frank is setting up his next victim when we know that there's already at least one in the basement. So like it's
Stacked. Like,
it's just gross.
yeah. It's like none of it is ever enough for him.
That is a really
So
good point.
Yeah. Thank you. So we go back to current day, and this is fell down a hellhole. I don't know. I just ran out of ideas at this point. For scene titles. But Tess is trying to explain to AJ that, like, you need to be calm, because if you're upset, she'll get upset. If mom is not happy, nobody's happy, okay?
Now that you're saying that though, that's really interesting because Tess has been here for a couple weeks. She has gotten into whatever the routine is that you have to do to stay alive. AJ just got here. He's freaking out. He's just encountered a monster and is stuck in a hole. He has no idea what's going on. But it is so funny that now Tess, the woman, gets to tell the man to calm down.
Yeah, like, you're being too emotional right now. Like,
you're being too emotional.
Yeah, get your emotions in check, okay?
Yeah, do we have some big feelings?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Shove it down, like the rest of us. God damn it.
Not me, ever.
So this part was so gross, but the mother, so basically they're in a hole in this tunnel that has a metal, like, gate on top of it. So, like, the mother can, like, lay on this metal gate and, like, put her arm down through the hole, and she puts this giant old ass baby bottle down there to, like, feed them. AJ's disgusted. He won't take it. And Tess says she just wants you to be her baby. And he's like, no, fuck that. So she offers it to Tess. Tess starts drinking from it, and mother is happy. You can just keep mother happy. But then he wouldn't do it. So the mother literally jumps down, grabs AJ, and this is when she goes up in his face. It's like, bah, 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 bah. That's all she can say. Takes him to the nursery to do what nurseries are made for, I guess. Nurse. And it's so gross. But it's a little bit ironic because he's literally being having charges against him for rape. And he's so upset and disgusted when this woman is trying to force breastfeed him. Like, he's like fighting.
Yeah.
Like, he's fighting her. He's so angry. And I'm like, you get it, but you don't get it because it's happening to you now. And so
my God, yes.
So it's a little bit of karma, honestly, in my opinion. So Tess escapes while he's getting nursed. But she ends up making a noise with the tape measure. So the mother starts chasing her. And in that moment, AJ is able to run in the opposite direction and where he finds a door. But Tess gets out, barely, and the homeless man helps her out of the basement glass window and, like, pulls her out. And he's like, you shouldn't be in there. And because we see mother, like, in the window and then go back. So, like, he also sees her and he's not even shocked. Like, he knows. He knew this whole time.
Like that.
Yeah. And, like, she wouldn't go in the sunlight, which I guess it probably hurts her eyes and stuff like that. Like, if you've lived in a darkness in a basement your whole life, or I guess a tunnel, like you're going to adapt.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Because that
she does
is kind
not
of one of
leave
the
during the
things that
day.
it's like, the homeless man pulls Tess out and the mother is like lurching there, but yeah, she retreats. And I always thought she was retreating because like she has another baby down there. But I think that that's a really good point that she like only is active at night.
Yeah, because he mentions like she'll be out tonight. Like she comes out all the time. Don't be out here when it turns dark. And so instead of Tess just leaving, she tries to call the police. They think she's crazy. They think she's on drugs. They go back to the house and he's like, "We're not breaking in. You don't have a key? It looks like you broke in, like blah blah blah." And they have a shooting and so they leave.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it
And
is.
it's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating because like the police don't ask Tess any questions like who are you, where you come from, and she's just like there's someone down there who needs help, and they're just like no,
Are you on drugs? Do you have ID? She's
and
like, "I
yeah,
was kidnapped."
she's like no, I don't have any ID, and it's not that because it's not like she's like my name is Tess, whatever, I came here, I don't even know what day it is, like
Yeah.
she's not forthcoming that way, but she's also been through whatever she's been through for the past 2 weeks. So it's kind of like I'm not mad at her for not being like whatever. She's just like,
No.
we need help, you help, and you're not helping.
Mm-hmm.
Protect and serve my ass.
They were serving cunt that day. This is called home horror movie. So AJ, when he runs, this is all kind of in congruence with Tess trying to talk to the police. He finds a door down a hallway, and then he sees the mother, but then she sees the door and backs off. So, like, if the monster is scared, you should be scared. Hmm. He goes into the room. He finds this old ass, nasty, gross, cunty, bitch ass man. He's probably like 80, 90 at this point. This is Frank. We know it's Frank because Frank said he's never going to leave. And he has all these VHS tapes that have like women's names or descriptions on them. He's coughing. So AJ's like, "Oh, you need water? What do you need? What do you need?" And like gives him his side table because AJ's looking for his phone or something. And then he sees the VHS player and he pushes in the VHS and it starts playing and we hear a woman screaming. And AJ looks at Frank like he's a disgusting monster. He's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm gonna call the police. Or before that, he said, "I'm gonna get you help." He thinks that Frank is trapped. He's not.
Mm-mm.
So now that Frank knows the police are gonna come, Frank rummages in his side table and just kills himself.
All right, pulls out a gun. AJ thinks he's gonna shoot him, and then Frank
Mm-hmm.
just hit himself. And honestly, he should have done that earlier and saved everyone a lot of pain, and then we would have no plot for this movie. But he did it so fast too. Like it's like he also thought that AJ would succeed. But also what's gonna happen to that man? Like he's already in a tunnel, like and he only has his movies to watch. Like it's not like he was living a happy life anyway. Like it's like
Yeah.
how so sure the mother has been like I don't like is Frank sustaining off her breast milk? Like what's
Well,
going on?
I just had a thought. I think maybe she's leaving at night to go get stuff for Frank to sustain them. Because, like, what does she eat? You know? So I think she probably has to cater to Frank, because he has that little bell system or whatever. But it seems like Frank is she's taking care of him. And I think she goes out at night to scrounge up whatever she can find, I'm assuming. Water, food, whatever else. People,
Really don't
babies.
know the logistics. I feel like based on the amount of videotapes and the variety of descriptions and the fact that there were several cages, several blankets in that room, there have been
A
several
multitude.
women, several children, but just for the sake of this story, there's only the mother.
Right. They've all either died, escaped, most likely died. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like dying is
Mm-hmm.
it.
malnutrition, abuse, all of
Illness.
it. Yeah, illness. It's he's not gonna take him to the doctor. So Frank kills himself. So then AJ takes Frank's gun and is gonna find his way out. At this time, it's now dusk, and Tess has her car, and she has decided she's gonna try and kill the mother. So when the mother comes out at night, Tess runs her into the house basically, and then we think she's, dead. So
You know,
Tess goes into the
dead.
tunnel to save AJ. AJ's a fucking idiot and a pussy ass bitch. I'm sorry for my language. No, I'm not. But Tess goes into the tunnel and she sees this light and she's like looking at it, and then we hear a pop and Tess just falls. AJ shot Tess, thinking it was the mother. Bro, you have a flashlight. They look nothing alike.
She
What
was
do you
standing
mean?
in the doorway of the room with the TV, so there was a little bit of light on her plus the flashlight. Not that the flashlight was going to illuminate the whole hallway, because it definitely doesn't.
No, but you could tell by her stature that that is not the mother. If you get an outline, that's not the mother.
Correct.
Maybe he thought there were other monsters in the hallway. I don't know. AJ's stupid. So then he's, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought you were her. I'm going to help you. I'm going to save you. She saved you. What do you mean?
Yeah, Tessa's awake. She comes to. Then AJ's on his apology tour again.
Yeah. Oh, this is called took a shot in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they make it out of the basement, out of the house, and Tessa's car is fucked. And she's like, I know a place we can go. So they go to the homeless man's camp by the water tower. And this is kind of when we get the mother's lore. We get confirmation from the homeless man of Frank's never left that house. There's something worse than those tunnels than the mother, than her. Basically, Frank is the dad to the mother. Lots of incest. He said babies with babies with babies, and that's what you get. I don't know
Yeah.
how many generations of incest you have to get that level of deformity. I don't
Well, I
know.
mean, it's only been 40 years. So this is one of the things that Katrina and I were talking about. So assuming this line started from the I guess we don't know how long Frank has been doing
Right.
this.
If he
We only
started at
have
20.
But I feel like because we were shown him hunting a woman, that just leads me to believe it is likely her child. But if it's some crazy lady who's been living there for 40 years, and 40 years is the last time since the flashback, we have no idea. We're just seeing a blip in time
Mm-hmm.
of this cycle of
Part
abuse.
part of me is thinking, because the homeless man said she's been there for the past 40 years. I'm wondering if she's the baby that was had,
Maybe
because she could be 40.
she could be 40.
That's what I'm going with. My theory is that she is the baby that Frank was shopping for in the store. Going with it. I don't know if it's true.
I mean, that's probably the only thing that makes sense in comparison to this specific flashback. Why are we seeing Frank doing these things versus maybe that's why the woman was screaming, she was giving birth?
Probably. She was probably in labor. Yeah. Because she's not an old woman. She's not 70 or anything like that. And she's not young, 20. 40 would probably be an apt age for her.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we don't know how long he's been doing this before. So when
Right. He's
when the homeless man
obviously a
is saying
seasoned
babies on
professional
babies
at
on
this.
babies, it's well, so I
How
mean,
many babies?
It's kind of reminds me of this family in Game of Thrones where this guy was sleeping with all of his daughters to breed more daughters. If he had sons, he'd get rid of them, which was all really gross, of course. But it's to think of how far off of I don't know, your lineage thing would you have to be to have a creature like this. So it's you sleep with one woman, then you're sleeping with your daughter, but then
And
are
then
you
your
sleeping with your
granddaughter.
granddaughter?
Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like.
Ugh,
It's awfully
gross.
disgusting.
Yeah, it's all yucky.
They get the lore of the mother, and AJ starts to have a conscience at one point, being like, I might be a bad person. And I'm like, oh my God, he had an epiphany. Look at him, growth, right? Not for long.
Yeah, because he's
But
talking about like I need to make amends, like I have done these things, like I need to think about others. And it's
yeah,
like not relevant, but it's relevant to us with AJ. And it's kind of one of those things that's like you think that you have come out of this situation. So you're like, okay, what am I gonna do now?
right. Where does my life go at this point?
Yeah, and Tess and AJ are talking about like, we need to get to a hospital. We got to get out of here. And the homeless man, he's just like, you're not leaving anywhere tonight. And Tess is like, I thought you said it was safe out here. And then the homeless man, signs his own
Oh my
death
gosh.
warrant. He's like, yeah, that lady, I've been here 15 years. She's never come here. She literally just busts through the wall, like right behind him, rips the homeless man's arm off, and beats him to death with it. It's
The like
crazy. This is a damn movie.
it's a movie. And part of me thinks that the reason AJ starts getting a conscience is because he sees somebody way worse than him. And he's like, oh my God, this dude hurts people. That's crazy. Like, I would never do that. Like, I need to be a better person. Like, I don't know if that's true, but yeah. Anyway, homeless man dies.
Which
Uh,
is so sad. The good ones.
the good ones always die.
So, oh, wow.
Rude.
That's true. Fuck.
Why there's
Okay, we're
none
not going to talk about
left.
that anymore.
Nope.
Um,
Okay, next.
yeah, so
This
then Tess and AJ are running up the water tower. I mean, I understand a little bit about them going up because it's like some place to escape, and it's not likely that they would outrun the mother like on lateral ground. Like I feel like they were fucked either way.
hide. I don't know, but not up on a. Also, I am afraid of heights. But this scene is called "I'm Free, Free Falling." If that doesn't tell you anything about this, so they decided with the water tower for what I don't know, but they did it, and that's in the movie.
For the plot.
Well, and AJ is just going, and obviously, Tess is struggling to run because she's been shot, and he just is like leaving her in the dust, and like, come on, let's go. And she
I hate
yells to
that
him
guy.
like, use the gun, and he's like, oh shit, I have a gun.
And then he
You had
drops
a gun this
it.
whole fucking time. Drops it off the tower like a bumbling idiot. So he thinks my only way out of this is if she dies, I live, because obviously she's not gonna make it. He tells her, he's like, you're not gonna make it, but I can make it. Grabs Tess,
By
says,
the
come
hair.
get, yeah, says, come get your baby, and throws Tess off of the water tower. And we get this really cool shot of like Tess is falling, and we get it from her point of view, and then it's the mother diving after her. And that's just a girl's girl, if I've ever seen. Like, this is a woman's empowerment movie. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
honestly, she had me after that one. I was like, you're making
I'm on
points.
the mother's side. I can't blame her. She is not the monster in this movie, okay? It's the men. Frank and AJ are the monsters. Anyway, we see AJ like, oh shit, that kind of worked. And then he comes down and is checking on them. And Tess starts breathing, and he's like, here it comes again. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no choice. You slipped. I wasn't really going to do it. Blah, 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 blah.
I couldn't
And,
catch you. I couldn't. And it's like fucking lying. But what's also funny is like, so Tess is, when she falls, she's like falling like her back toward the ground. And then the mother is diving. But when AJ comes upon them, the mother is laying on her back and like cradling Tess. Like it's just like
yeah,
a movie, but it's just funny that this is how they've
she broke
fallen
her
because
fall. She
I
caught her
know
baby.
down will come baby,
Mhm.
Baba and all.
Well, and I feel like the mother obviously has more of an emotional connection to Tess because she's had Tess for 2 weeks now. Like, this is her baby.
Mhm.
And they've
Yeah.
built that connection. But neither one of them are dead. And when the mother comes to, she grabs AJ by the head, shoves her fingers in his eyeballs, and rips his head in half.
Well, because effectively what she's saying is what your scene title is nobody throws Baba off a water tower, which is so
Exactly.
funny. Like your scene titles are some of the best you've ever done. Like I'm very proud.
Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes it just comes to me. I'm an artist. What can I say? He's dead. So now the mother is trying to coax Tess to come back with her to the house. And Tess is like in pain, wincing, like I can't do it. I can't go back there. She's not understanding. The mother is like, ba 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 ba. And
Ba 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 ba
ba
ba
ba ba
ba ba ba.
ba.
Oh no, I'm doing the Minions.
Oh, I was doing Barbarian. That one. So Tess secretly grabs the gun and shoots the mother. But before she can do that, the mother kisses her fingers and then like presses it on Tess's forehead. Then she's dead, and Tess walks away to the song "Be My Baby."
Be my baby. Yeah. So I mean, what we've learned about this movie is men ain't shit, and a mother's love should conquer all. Also, go Tess.
A mother's sacrifice.
So that's Barbarian. And we only have a couple minutes left to figure out what our next movie is going to be, so we got to rush.
Is August still summer? It's not fall yet, right?
Correct. August is summer.
So maybe we just look at summer horror movies. Jaws, there's that.
Fuck off.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, Us, Piranha, Cheerleader Camp. That's kind of a schooly one. I've never seen it though.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. We have less than a minute. You pick.
Ah, can't. Ugh. Pause the Zoom. I don't know.
Count the votes. Thank you guys for listening. We hope that you enjoyed our episode, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Find us on Twitter or Instagram to request a movie or even just to discuss your thoughts at Booze and Boobs. Or send us an email, boozeandboobs@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we're working on turning this into a thing. So if you can please follow us on Patreon, our account there is Booze and Boobs also.
And what are some of the benefits to joining our Patreon?
Oh, Katrina, I am so glad that you asked. As a patron, you will get early release episodes, bloopers, mini episodes where we showcase scenes from the movies that we're talking about, or just conversations that we're having that we had to cut from our recording.
All that and more. And they're fun tiers. You can be an A cup, a C cup, or you can join the Triple D Plus group like us.
We truly appreciate your support, and we look forward to growing our following to create more content for listeners like you.
So we'll see you next time, or else.
Yeah, let's end it with a threat.